somewhat chilly Tuesday afternoon. Greetings, greetings, greetings. And it's been a very interesting beginning of the year here in Southern California. As you may know, we've had a slew of wildfires going on, focused in the Palisades and also part of Altadena. A lot of people have lost their homes, and our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to them. Nonetheless, we must press on, and I hope everything is good with all you guys. Rella's 4105, greetings, and saying, where have I been? I've been around. I've just been traveling. Like last week, Tuesday, I had the opportunity to travel to Nevada for the very, very popular Consumer Electronics Show. And since I was traveling and it was quite windy and I was in an area that had little or no reception, I couldn't participate at noon to interact with all of you. So this is, as Rollins Kitchens says, Happy Tuesday. Love from San Diego. Thank you so much, Adam. That being said, we didn't have the opportunity to explore that last week, and now we are here. So thank you so much, guys. I have all of you on Instagram here live. Thank you so much. On TikTok live, as long as we can. Good seeing you this afternoon as well. YouTube live is on the horizon as we speak. And through the podcast networks via our good friends at Spotify podcasts or podcasters. Whether you're listening to us via Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, you name it, we are here. Realize is asking me, are you still into the car community? Well, look around me. Team is working away. We have lots of projects here that are all automotive based in terms of fun and mobility. And yes, I am still quite a bit of that community and plan on being that way until I leave this planet. But thank you so much for asking indeed. And speaking of car stuff, I got two questions this morning which I felt I need to address before I jump into the CS show from last week, and it's around this. I got two questions this morning alone around the benefits or importance of break-in oil. And here I am to share that with you. Pure is a brand that I am very near and dear. It's very near and dear to my heart. It's what I tend to use. This is their break-in oil. You can see it's an SAE 30. So this is ideal for any oil fields for break-in of fresh engines that are like, let's say 020, 530. This is what you should use. And why is that important? Break-in oils are mineral oils. If you do have the opportunity to build an engine yourself or receive an engine from a builder, it is not wise to use that also protective synthetic out the gate, because if you do, your rings will never seal properly. So what we tend to do is we use like a pure break-in oil, SAE 30 or SAE 40, depending on the viscosity. If it's 0 to 20, 530, 1030, I use 30 weight SAE. If it's 040, 2050, even 1060, where the case may be, anything thicker, I use the SAE 40. The mineral oil is good because it allows for just that nice amount of friction to occur where it's not too slippery, to allow not only for bearing protection, but also for a nice adhesion and break-in of the rings, which is still extremely important. And Relis is asking 4105, who just asked me a moment ago, by the way, if I even work on cars, just asked me if I do work on Hondas. And I do. I have the Civic EG for client in that showroom right up there. I also have my all-wheel drive Civic wagon here as well. I have my CRZ in the other showroom, which is kind of behind those doors. You can't quite see that. And I still have my Odyssey. And today, as my daily driver for quite a few weeks now, is the Honda Prologue, which I drive. So that's pretty cool as well. So the amount of true builders insight being given here for zero is insane, says Othello, which I love your name, by the way. Thank you so much. I'm here to share all my knowledge and give back to community. That has been so good to me. So back on the break-in oil, it's very important to have your rings have that very intimate contact with the cinder walls for proper break-in, so you have a perfect seal. There are two ways that you can use break-in oil like this, the pure one, to break your engine. One, you can fill it in with your new engine and drive around, bearing throttle and vacuum for about 2,000 miles, drain it out, and then put in your oil fill of choice. Now, if you have a vehicle that's impossible to do that, you can have the opportunity to do it on the dyno. So customers, what they typically do is they'll fill this up in their engine to a proper fill. They'll do the heat cycling at home, make sure they don't have any leaks or anything, bring to the dyno here. We do partial throttle tuning for a good hour, and then above and beyond that, we then do a full throttle tune, partial full throttle tune. By the time we're done with that 2-3 hour session, you can drain out this break-in oil. It comes out nasty and black because it has all the cleaning stuff out and break-in and carbon, and then you put in your oil fill and you're good, which is great, Do I break in before a tune? Yes. So Cyrusog, as I mentioned, there are two ways. You can break in by driving around, but what if your car is not emissions friendly? What if it's not, you don't have a proper base map to be able to break in? What do? You fill this up and you go to the dyno, you know? Max effort, onboard methanol, 2-ring or 3-ring piston. What's your choice, says March 11. I use 2 rings. And the reason why I do that is twofold. One, I tend to use very long rods, as long a rod as I can, with a 0.708 inch pin, small pins that are quite robust, small enough to give me that kind of long rod that I need, big enough to allow for good engagement and longevity in my engines. So 708 pin as high as possible. And then when you go really, really high, that second ring doesn't quite work out quite well, does it? So that being said, my top ring, I use like a total seal ring that acts as a compression and also a scraper. And then I have a proper oil ring with proper tension, depending if I have a dry sump system or not. So the reason why I prefer 2 rings over 3 rings, above and beyond the long rod, the second advantage is friction. Do you know that one of the reasons that internal combustion engines are so inefficient is because there's so much friction inside the engine, so you consume so much energy and power dragging those rings. If you can have a good seal with a single ring and eliminate the second ring, not only do you have less friction, as a result, you now have power available to you, which is great, you know? Thank you. Beaster Ride says, I followed you years ago because of the Fastest Car episode you were on. Thank you so much. We had a lot of fun filming that, how should I say, reality TV show. Reality TV, because all that was kind of planned out. I can talk about that now, but it was fun doing that. I made friends there that I continue to enjoy till today. The Jaeger pilot on YouTube is saying, wait for me, first on YouTube. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Shades. I know you took me on IG. Appreciate seeing you on a different platform. Thank you so much. Big up to you as well. Snickers, he says. That sounds about good right now. Anyway, for high RPM engines or for high horsepower, what's your question, Sky Cloud? I think I may have missed the early part of your question there. What's the max horsepower you can get on 91 octane on a single cam Honda? What I did on 91, the highest power I received, I think on 91 octane, decent compression, decent cams, side drop carburetors on a D series, I think I got to 180 wheel on a dyno jet. It was about 178, 180 on 91. That's me really, head was ridiculous. Huge level X camshafts, carburation, high flowing exhaust, slightly oversized bore, big valve heads. I got to 180 on 91. And by the way, because the cams are so huge, anything under 2,500 RPM was just hard to even move forward. That's how big the cams were with a D-Series Level X, non-VTEC. And yeah, that was it. So I hope that answers your question. I guess nowadays, with some of the technology, you maybe get more with a lot more coding and so on and so forth. I could go big on displacement. But for our case, on a 1.6, we're able to do that. No problem whatsoever. Good day, Tech2sday. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you indeed. Good to see you safe from the fire, says Tech2sday. Yes, that brings me to my very big purpose of interacting with you today, above and beyond the Pure breaking. Oh yeah, by the way, they're offering sponsorships this season for the new year. So if you haven't hit them up, please hit them up on Pure USA on Instagram. You can even write to them at sales@pureusa.com and they will hook you up. Let them know that BC sent you. But the main reason that I want to talk to you guys about today is about my exposure to CES. CES is the annual convention that unfortunately tends to happen the first full week of January, which is the same time that the Auto Sports Show happens in the UK, which I love. The Tokyo Auto Salon happens in Japan, which I've never attended, but I really want to, hopefully next year or the year after. Sad that all these events are happening at the same time, but what's local to me and really forward thinking in terms of technology is CES, Consumer Electronics Show. I was exposed to this years ago by Harman Kardon, one of our technical partners, as far back as 2016, and I've been going ever since with much fanfare, with the exception of course, the pandemic. But nonetheless, on my way back, I came back Saturday, picked up the kids, went straight home, and when I got to my residence, there was just rubbish everywhere in terms of leaves. There are trees that have fallen down in my neighborhood right next door. My pool was completely full of bags of leaves, black, just horrible. My pool filter was clogged. We had no electricity between Tuesday and Thursday when I was gone. So that being said, all the perishables in my fridge were completely obliterated. It was quite sad. But yeah, we are safe from the fires. But One thing I did notice at Vegas at CES is that we saw a significant increase in organizations who are embracing AI, artificial intelligence, and also, as you may have seen from some of my content with the show, robotics. Huge, huge, especially in the event now where people are trying to move toward more efficiency and being able to do things quite repeatedly and have a lot of fun and you just create a better quality of life for everyone on the planet. It was really cool thing to see that indeed. Of course, cars were there. I saw the prototypes, not concepts, but prototypes from American Honda, which was great. We started to see the SUV that they have and also the Honda O Saloon. Beautiful cars. The Saloon looks amazing. Everything hypercar to me in terms of aesthetics. Has a chopped carbon, has a nice Italian look. Some people can see a bit of Murcielago in it. Others see a little bit of a Veyron to some extent, just a little bit. You can also see some elements of, I would say, the old school, what was that? Some people said they saw a little bit of a Countach in that as well. I love the yoke steering wheel. I'm a big fan of yoke steering wheels. That's why even the Honda Prologue that I drive, I updated that courtesy of our friend from SoCal Garage. And I just love it. It gives better visibility, kind of gives you the kind of race feel to it. Pretty cool. I liked it a lot, you know? Any plans on a GR Corolla, says the Chapas? Not only did I not see Toyota at CES, I also didn't have the unique opportunity to have a good relationship with Toyota yet. But if I ever do, by all means, that car looks pretty cool from internal combustion perspective. Beat a Ride says, dude, that van is so sick. Hey team, one van mentioned. Okay, do you still have that build and have you done anything new to it? Says Beast Rides. Yes, I still have it at my residence. The updates that we've done so far is some protocols with the dash to be able to read the fuel tank properly. Before I had the direct, I would say, resistance from the fuel tank to my AM dash showing kind of my fuel levels, but because the range of the dash was limited versus my tank, I couldn't get the full spectrum. In other words, let's say that my van did 0 to 400 ohms of resistance for full to empty accordingly. My dash, let's say we're only up to 230. So I had to use kind of a pull down resistor, excuse me, to be able to allow the opportunity to kind of put it within the range that my dash could see. So I kind of added that and now it reached properly from 0 to 100. I had to drain out the fuel out, calibrate for 0, fill it all the way up, calibrate to 100, and now it reached properly. So that's one thing. The second most amazing thing I did in terms of being able to update that van is to update my physical controls to Turbo Smart. And then, so, you know, in terms of wastegate control, that has a Turbo Smart large wastegate and also a Turbo Smart blow valve. And then I did update the turbo system to a more efficient, even smaller, at beats more powerful and faster spooling Garrett G series. So now I have, I think there's a G1050 on that, and it made a lot more power in the mid-range and low RPM ranges. So the thing is just amazing. And then last but not least, instead of running R888Rs in the front, I do run slicks on the front. Now I do have Toyo RRs on the front. So it's like the closest thing to DOT that slicks. It has 2 grooves to make it DOT friendly. So Beast Rides, great question. Those are some updates to the Bisimoto Odyssey. Patrick on TikTok is saying, Seb at Specialty Z, great company by the way, just took the twin turbo 370Z yesterday. Final numbers, 745 horsepower, 700 pound-foot of torque on ethanol. That is great. Patrick, congratulations. That should be a monster to drive. I like that a lot because a lot of 370Z guys don't go that far out. And I'm partial to some of the Z stuff, the Nissan stuff. I love using Nissan's Chatamo for fast charging on the EV projects. I also love using Nissan 370Z pedals for some of my conversions as well, whether it's on the petrol or petrol EV side. So good job, congratulations. I look forward to seeing your car sometimes. Send me some content if you don't mind on TikTok. I'd love to see what your project looks like. BC, what are your thoughts on using hybrid batteries or EV batteries in a home solar system, says the Jaeger Pilot. I think that's great. So one thing I noticed about using hybrid batteries is that hybrid batteries are designed chemistry-wise to have a very high power density versus energy density. Now, what that means is you can pull a lot of amps from hybrid batteries just because of the nature of how hybrid setups are. They have to, kind of lug around a petrol engine and on demand needs to be able to kick in quite rapidly. So you can get a lot of power from the hybrid batteries And if you have something like a Tesla, there's a Tesla Plaid here and the Model 3 right here in front of me. Those battery cells, even though they're somewhat Panasonic based, do tend to be energy dense, which means instead of you pulling them, they're not sagging a ton and losing a lot of voltage because they just don't hold a ton of amps when you floor it, but they tend to be better for range. If you had a choice between the two, I would rather use a non-hybrid battery for a power wall at your home because there's no need to having big pulses. I even picked up a Model 3 long range to put in my home. I have one here on the shelf. I need to figure that out, especially with the most recent blackouts we've had in the Southern California area. And it would be a little bit of a waste if you use hybrid batteries for that. It can work, but you can get a longer period of charge with an energy dense battery than a power dense battery. Now, if you did come across hybrid batteries that are ridiculously cheap, that'd be a good trade-off, right? So you can definitely do that. And just keep in mind that you're leaving a little bit of energy on the table versus the same footprint and having something that's more energy dense. So just keep that in mind. It's a pleasure interacting with you, you know? A1 Garage is asking if a turtle loses its shell, is it homeless or naked? I guess a little bit of both. Let's see here. Good to see you safe from the family, free from the barrier, says Arctic Motor. Yes, I am. With the exception that Altadena is like 23 minutes away from my residence and we're right on the mountain. So that's one of the reasons why the local utility company did shut off electricity because they want to inspect lines. As with massive winds we've had, including today, that's why it's kind of cold back here. You see my team is all bundled up. With the massive winds, not only does it fuel the fire because it's just supplying this great oxygen and movement for the fire itself, but as poles fall down and power lines kind of get entangled and contact, it can create a fire themselves. So what the local utilities did for us is they shut down our power, inspected the lines day and night, and then when they felt safe for us to be able to have power, they reactivated and we were okay. So it did take about 3 to 4 business days to make that happen, which was not very good for our perishables at the home, which is sad, you know? Let's see here. Hi, BC. I love the Mobi X project, but I rarely see it. Any updates? It says, I think his screen name on Instagram, on TikTok, doesn't have any writing, just a bunch of characters. Yes, the Mobi is right, you can't see it from here, but I'll do a text in front of it. The Mobi X is right there. We've had it. As a matter of fact, if you look here on my TikTok, and for those of you on Instagram, even on YouTube, if you take a look at my feed, you'll see I did a nice ASMR with the Mobi X with some updates. It looks quite different in terms of color, some nice modifications to it. This gentleman by the name of Ross Rennie, wonderful, talented graphic designer, kind of redesigned the whole livery with it in conjunction with my friend Rod Chung. So it's really good, you know, amazing indeed. Do you do JDM? Yes, I do indeed. I got a gifter badge from Tony Forte, 583 on TikTok. Thank you so much, Tommy. I appreciate the support and kind words. Blaze on YouTube also asked a good question. When you built your Veloster N, did you have to change your high pressure fuel pump? I hear changing it to a Sonata one is necessary to tune it. No, I did not. And so, Blaze, if that is what was shared with you, that is not correct. Because we've tuned dozens by Flash, dozens of Veloster Ns and i30Ns, and there's no need to change the high pressure fuel pump. With a factory in tank and factory high pressure, we're able to get some nice numbers that support the factory drivetrain. One of the biggest advantages you can have, Blaze, on the Veloster N, especially on the manual version of it, is the intercooler. The factory intercooler leaves a lot to be desired. It's okay for a factory setup, okay, marginally okay, but once you start having a lot of fun, heat soak kicks in, it's not as efficient. There is one that is as a result of a collaboration between us and CSF. It's the Bisimoto CSF Veloster N Pro intercooler. Very cost effective, about $600. Pick those up, you will love it. It is night and day. Immediately you feel the power from a dense intake mixture. So it's great. West Coast Larry, hello to you as well. Thank you so much for joining, appreciate you. I have a GRC Curl you can play with, says the Chopper. If you have a little budget to let us have some fun, we can definitely be more than happy to explore that with you. No problem whatsoever. What's your Japanese import, says Sniper Gang 333. I've always been a Honda boy. My first love was Honda, and I still drive Honda still today. Even drove it today daily as we speak, you know. Wouldn't it be so cool to see how many miles per gallon range a 90s lightweight Honda with a new Civic hybrid setup would be? that would be a pretty cool project. As a matter of fact, take that even a step further. Imagine a new Civic hybrid swap into a Porsche 911. How cool would that be, you know? What's the welder making, says Agent 00 Soul? I thought no one ever asked. I'm surprised you guys saw that kind of weird contraption right here behind me and no one's ever asked. Well, if you guys remember from SEMA last year, I had the opportunity to put together a beautiful car. There was a Utah 8 Kalani, which really looks like a Mark V from Speed Racer, really organic, cool little electric vehicle. This is a little different right here. This had a big old bubble around it. You see Jonathan walking around it. And it was actually a partially manned versus internal combustion setup in there. So it was almost akin to like two bicycles. You can pedal with two people inside of it and kind of steer like you would a green machine from back in the day, those Hot Wheel green machines, which is pretty nice. But above and beyond that, it did have a two-stroke engine, which the exhaust wasn't very good. You can actually get overwhelmed by the two-stroke fumes. So if you're pedaling and you kind of feel the need to get some assistance, you can turn on the petrol two-stroke motor and then it carry on. Now, it got very hot in there because almost like the greenhouse effect with the glass. And I'll show some good insights when we're done with it. But it just wasn't good. So now we're updating it using some technology from Super 73 bicycles or e-bikes. So it's not going to have an e-bike assembly, which not only allows you to have multiple gears and be able to shift and pedal yourself, but if you do feel the need for a little bit more speed or assist, or just by using it as electric alone, you can be able to just a flip of your electric, like just a little squeeze of a throttle, be able to immediately have an e-bike situation, which is quite robust and quite scary fast too. We even have upgraded the tires. You can see part of the bike right here on the floor. We cut up two of those to be able to do that. Brand new bikes, which is cool. So that's what we're doing. We're creating almost like a twin e-bike setup. And shame on me, I should have done really a YouTube series on this to show what we're doing, but it's pretty cool. And you can see on the floor right there, there's some of the front bicycle tires. We're trying to upgrade the tires because the original ones are quite beat up, you know, big size, you know? So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and when it's done, it should be a blast. One thing that I will do, the team and I are doing to be able to update this, is to have some kind of ventilation fan system in here, because it can get really hot very quickly, especially on a warm California day. So yeah, it should be pretty good, you know? Humper Dinky also sent me another number 3 glitter badge. Thank you so much, Humper Dinky from TikTok. Appreciate your support, indeed. Is it possible to boost something like a hybrid Nissan Skyline Hybrid Q50? Yes, it is. Jaeger Pilot from YouTube, you may remember that we were able to boost an LEA1 setup, which was for the Honda CRZ when they came out. And we were able to make 550 horsepower on the one that was here, fully built engine. And we did a little bit close to 300 horsepower, a little bit over 200, I should say, on a factory CRZ that we did on the Mythbusters show. So if you haven't seen that, I think it's still on Max. You can look for, you know, the Mythbusters, Motor Mythbusters, see our dedication to a hybrid to see if it helps with economy or not. So it's pretty cool. With a little bit of fabrication and some technology updates, you can definitely do that without that, you know? All right, okay, I'm missing some stuff here. Brazil's in the house, courtesy of Wild Bill Beer. Wild Bill Beer. Thank you so much for joining Tech2sday. I bought your turbo years ago, said Siren OG. Great, I have more. If you have the need for some brand new, I think a G series, maybe 660s. If you have the need for maybe a 52mm billet, I think we have some on our eBay Bisimoto page. So take a look by all means. I'm needing some Puro ASAP. Arctic Moto, yes you do. Hit them up. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to take care of you. Alex, my good friend, says, hello, I couldn't make it over yesterday. No problem, Alex. Alex is a good friend of mine. We used to street race. He'd be part of the Matrix team for years. Now a good friend. He's covered quite a bit. Supposed to go with us to the CS show, but couldn't make it away. Alex, you missed a great one. Hopefully you can join us next year. Should be good indeed. And maybe I get to see you sometime this week. Was your Civic wagon in the movie Born and Raised? Because it was there when you're driving in the movie. What are your goals this year? Because I haven't seen your builds and races in videos, says Relic 4105. Yes, that was my Civic wagon, first gen. The 700 horsepower single cam front wheel drive one. It was in that movie, courtesy of our good friend, Ali Afshaw, or Alex Dodd, as his Hollywood name is. Great actor, wonderful producer, great guy. I miss working with him, good indeed. We just started. Today is the 14th of January. We were 2 weeks into the year. We have a lot going on. Not only do I want to update that electric bag Rolls Royce for the interior that is actually befitting of it, You can see right there, there is a, I don't know if you can see on TikTok, but you can see that on YouTube and also on Instagram. There's a twin turbo 935. We're doing some great updates. We're updating it to drive-by-wire on the air-cooled setup with a twin turbo 935 Tribute. We're doing some modifications right there. That's actually, you can see a little bit of a corner of a black car there on YouTube. Let me see if I can move it around here for you guys on Instagram. A little black right there. That's our SEMA project for 2025. It is too soon to be able to have any track activity, believe it or not. Only because not only have our tracks closed down, even our local resident track in Urbandale, but we just started the year. People are still coming back for holidays. A lot of people came back to work yesterday, the 13th. So we're just in the group of in the hang of things. You will see some amazing content from us in both mobility solutions and racing as well. So hang tight. His Porsche was in the first Fast and Furious movies. Sure was. Let's see here. You don't have by vacuum. I don't know what that means, Sky Cloud 7. Please rephrase. You're the best, says 8082 Fayette Street. Said it's Glenn. Hello, Glenn, sir. And for those of you who don't know Glenn, very good friend of mine. Actually, I'm going to do a video with Glenn and that beautiful Rolls Royce. Glenn is an amazing individual. He was in so many movies, Hollywood star, has had a beautiful life. I would love one day to be part of his life story. This chap has been in film. He was a drummer for Hall & Oates. Just an amazing soul, someone who I love very much. Just he's had a wonderful life where he did some espionage stuff in Florida and lived in the Fontainebleau for quite a while. Just an amazing individual. We tend to go to the 50s Cafe in the west side of LA to have some fun and kind of relive some really good moments with some malt shakes, which is pretty good, and a vanilla shake with malt. Pretty cool. You guys thought I was going to say malt liquor, huh? A Porsche should get the Honda Prologue EV swap. The front-wheel drive version single motor makes 212, and the dual motor all-wheel drive version 288. Wonder why they didn't make a version of the 2.2 motors for 422. Yeah, that's a great question. I think there are more efficient opportunities out there only because the OTM setup that's in the Prologue is quite large. So that may be a little difficult to put up front, but I agree with you, some good technology there indeed. I really do enjoy driving the Prologue. And speaking of driving that was my automobile or chariot of choice going over to CES. Now with the crazy winds and the cold going there, it was pretty interesting driving that. As luxurious and fun as that was, and as reliable as the airbag system was, it was great. But we had a headwind driving to Vegas, a vicious, there were 55-mile-an-hour winds, there were headwinds going up. Even though it was like maybe in the 40s outside, the wind chill was closer to the 30s. So that wasn't great for battery life and for range, just because I was going against a wall the entire drive. I had to charge twice to go to Vegas, which is less than 300 miles away, just because of range. And I was dipping a little bit. I was driving okay, which is good. On the way back, one charge. I came back with one charge. I didn't have to do more than one stop. That was great. But going there with the winds was really interesting. But that Prologue is beautiful. I have never had so many compliments on a stock car in my life. And when I say stock, I didn't touch the inverter, I didn't touch the motor, but cosmetically, it's that beautiful pearl. It's like a what do they call it? Like my keys are right here, and that's it right there. And it has the paint coat on it, which is like a North Shore pearl. Absolutely beautiful color, with the white wheels from Brixton, which looks like it belongs on a G-Wagon Mercedes, right? Beautiful 22-inch wheels, wrapped around some Toyo Proxys tires. My very good friend, Nicholas from NAB Visual Design, kind of drew up the concept that I had one to pay homage to my old wagon with the orange mirrors that Cato House, Juni Mai from Hot Wheels fame, now Cato House fame, kind of came to light with and kind of brought that to the table with an Inno roof rack system and the Inno box. Air Ride equipment did the suspension utilizing components from Universal Air and a controller from Air Lift, which is pretty good. So it was really a fun drive out there, and it was just amazing. And had meetings with the guys from American Honda that Tuesday. They love the vehicle. It's just so great to really partner with a brand for over 30 years. It's just great indeed. I just love it, love it, love it, love it, The Jaeger pilot says, the questions I have, who gives those color combinations? They are gorgeous. Thank you so much. I can tell you one thing. My CRX first one was a HF blue color. It was a blue HF. So that's kind of been my favorite color, period. And when I did the wagon, I kind of threw some white wheels on it because my white wheels are kind of what I raced with to kind of stand out. So it wouldn't really, sometimes we have polished or chrome wheels and you're staging with the pre-LED or pre-efficient staging lights, it can kind of flicker and make you red light. So I like to paint my wheels white so it wouldn't have that effect. And that kind of combination of white wheels and blue car has kind of been my staple for eons. So I am partial to blue. Love a little bit of pink as well, based upon the K3 review we built years ago. It's really good indeed. Corvolt, there you go. Have you tried using Call My AI on older cars yet? Getting something called Retropilot? No, I have not. I need to look into that. By the way, guys, if you don't know who Corvolt is, fellow engineer, always comes bring the heat, whether he's on YouTube or Instagram, someone who's a fellow enthusiast and also EV advocate as well. So I'm gonna look at Call My AI and see what it can do to offer and help make our life here a lot easier. Can you use the EV batteries for home systems? Absolutely, SkyCloud87. The chemistry is very similar. And based upon the plethora of EV batteries you can find in wrecking yards, there's an opportunity for you to do a very cost-effective home storage system using electric vehicle batteries. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, one of the things that has been a boon for the utility companies is the fact that there's so many EVs nowadays being manufactured that EV battery prices, dollars per kilowatt hour, have come down significantly. So now SoCal Edison or some of the other utility companies around the globe can now afford in mass scale to have storage systems. So in peak time when the sun is out, it can store, and in the evenings or nights when they need it, it can be tapped into. So that being said, those technologies cross over from home and public storage to utilities to electric vehicles. Absolutely. Raging Bill Nuts says, I didn't know you had a Prologue, and that means I have done a poor job, guys, talking about that. So forgive me, Raging Bull Nuts, I will do a lot more to make it known. When I mentioned it, cool, is it on the channel? By the way, I've been a fan since reading about you and Honda Tuning. I believe your life story 20 years ago. Thank you so much. Yes, Honda Tuning is no longer around with us. I know that Instagram channel is still active. However, we had a ton of articles in there, both talking about technologies, races, plans for the future, all that fun stuff. And yes, I built a 2024 North Shore Blue Prologue, which is now my daily driver, for the SEMA 2024 show in Las Vegas, first full week of November. And I've been driving ever since. It's quite beautiful. I mean it, guys. Raging Bull, I've never received so much positive attention and compliments on a factory car in my life. It's amazing. So it's really nice. So I will post more content. Maybe I'll do some more walking around videos to show you what I did to make this thing tick, which is pretty cool. BC, my brother, says Tuna No Crust Garage. Good seeing you, sir. Thank you so much for joining. Hope you're staying safe. Corsicas in the house, courtesy of Mikanom 3. Thank you so much for joining indeed. Appreciate your presence. Let's see here. Those same winds burned down LA caused me to lose 5 solar panels on my off-grid property. Now that is scary. I didn't even know that was possible. Mine are still intact, but I probably need to go up on my roof and take a look and see how robust things are. Thanks for the reminder, Tuna Crust Garage. Appreciate you. Tuna No Crust Garage. Appreciate you indeed. Knitting through the entire array like a tornado ripping off a roof. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully the damage is not too critical for you to like be in the hole significantly. Get it repaired and let me know how that turns out. Next door, a huge tree that's been in the ground for decades, excuse me, that's been in the ground for decades, uprooted. So luckily my neighbor didn't have it damage their house, but it completely uprooted from the ground. And the local city had to cut it up, and maybe today being a trash day, they'll probably grab everything, but it was quite bad indeed, you know? Okay, let's see here. Luckily, it's still all operation. Thank goodness. Glad to hear that. Sina Kobar, how do you say? Kobayari. There you go. Hi, BC. I've been following you for many years. 5+ years. Thank you so much for the support. Appreciate you. I'm a young automotive engineer from the UK, currently restoring and building a BMW E46. Fantastic. E46s, E36s, classic vehicles. Absolutely classic. Send some pictures. I love to see how that's going. I love seeing people really celebrating the past while incorporating newer technologies in them. I love it, love it, love it. Kung Fu Shotgun from TikTok saying the legend. Thanks for the kind gesture. Appreciate that indeed. Kung Fu Shotgun. Got the #1 gift back. Thank you so much for the gifts. Appreciate that indeed. Piston Castillo, Grande BC. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate to see you. Want to say hi to one of the fastest single cameras, says Edoza. Thank you so much. For those of you who don't know what he's talking about, for years, I have just been an advocate of single cam Honda performance. When I was in school, the D series, D15 and D16s are all I could afford. I picked them up from free, from dustbins, from wrecking yards, from old shops. And because I couldn't afford anything else, I just put my technology and wisdom into them and made them really potent, competitive engines. And then as I graduated from school, as I make a little bit more money, I could afford to pretty much build anything I wanted. I had the opportunity to stay with SimCam and go to F22A to kind of see what I can do with that platform. And by taking that technology from my D series, the 1.5, 1.6 liters, which I got to 10.7, natural aspirated, I was able to eclipse the 9.2 mark using a slightly bigger displacement setup with the same technology. A little bit better, of course. So thank you so much for allowing me to have that journey down memory lane. Appreciate you indeed. Hello, Babylon from YouTube. Thank you so much for joining. I just want to say I have a D-badge VW Carmen Gia, and I tell everyone it's a Porsche, says Boy Toy Click. You know, that there's not too much distance from that being true because they kind of share a lot of technology. So yeah, enjoy. The 10 Gen, no 10 530 yet? No, I just put a request in yesterday to see. I've been out of it for a while, but I have 020 in stock, and I have 1040 in stock, and I think a little bit of 2050, and I have also some braking oil in 30 weight and 40 weight as well. So that should be ready. It's really good for braking the engines, also as a reference oil if you're doing some testing and so on. It's pretty cool. We need a supercharger kit for the 3UZ, says Kung Fu Shotgun. For those who know, guys, the 3UZ Toyota-based platform, I really need to get a relationship going with Toyota because it really helps when I get some support from them to really create some things. So Kung Fu Shotgun, if you do have a relationship with Toyota, or Toyota, if you're listening, I'd be more than willing to work with you guys and kind of create some really cool technologies, parts for enthusiasts worldwide, which is pretty good, you know? Sina Kobayi is saying, I'm currently designing a system to use an Eaton TVS R1320 supercharger and an integrated charge cooler intake manifold, which is very clever indeed. Do you have any advice on words of wisdom for me? Yes, don't give up. It's not easy, Sina, to create products and to even have the opportunity to vet them and validate and make sure everything works properly. It is something that you can easily come across any challenges. Look at those challenges as learning opportunities and opportunities to grow. Don't look at mishaps, if you encounter any, as, oh my God, this is horrible, I'm done. Use it as a way to catapult yourself to success. Stay persistent, stay focused, and you will succeed. So thank you so much. Raging Bull Nut says, for those of you who don't know, BC is the first in the 12s, 11s, and 10s, and 9s to almost sim cams in the quarter mile. That is true. And not only in terms of 12s, 11s, 10s, and 9s, also first non-VTEC to do those too. So it's really a lot of fun doing that stuff. And I look forward to doing a lot more as the time progresses. Hello, BC. Good afternoon, says JDK248SX. Good afternoon. States of Raiders. FTW says tuna no crust. Yes. Right behind me, there's CSF and that. CSF and that thing with the two going doors going up there. That's like a couple of doors from a very special project that I can't wait to share with you guys soon. There's CSF in that 935 right there for heat exchange. Yeah, I love those guys. Good partners of ours, indeed. Let's see here. I live down the street from G-Spot Automotive. They specialize in the Hondas. I like talking with Frankie about your bills. Thank you so much. That's a word G-Spot. It's something I haven't heard in a very, very long time. Tell team I said hello. Thank you. Another sale cam question says BB Detailing. How much compression can one run on 91 octane? That is a very good question. We had a similar question to that when I was at CES. I had someone asking me that as I was doing a podcast when I was out there. And to be honest with you, based on my experience, I was able to run as high as 13.8 to 1. But you cannot, I repeat, you cannot do that with small camshafts. When you have a factory camshaft or small ones that have very wide lobe separation, especially on a single cam where you can adjust it, what ends up happening is your dynamic compression gets very high and exceeds, when it's compressed, exceeds the compression limit to allow for pre-ignition. And you don't want pre-ignition, you don't want detonation or pre-ignition. That would quickly destroy bearings, pistons, rods, rod bolts, you name it. The one way to cheat, where you can get good efficiency and higher RPM, make great power, and also have the opportunity to run on lower octane fuels without qualm is to be able to run large camshafts with lots of overlap. So at the low RPMs, you don't have this detonation issue that you can have with ignition. And by the time you get up in an RPM where your overlap is not as crazy because you really turn the engine over so quickly, you now have the opportunity to make a lot of power by compressing and creating controllable good heat. So that being said, my experience, 13.8 to 1, but with huge Bisimoto level X camshafts. And above and beyond that, tuning, critical. No factory ECUs here. You have to be able to pull back some of the ignition timing and to add fuel appropriately to make sure that you have a very reliable setup. I hope that helps. Is that the one that was on Fast and Furious? No, not here. None of the Fast and Furious cars are here right now. That was the old IROC Porsche. He's a genius. Respect this man, says Edoza. Thank you so much for the kind words. But once again, I keep saying this. You see my team working behind me. No man is an island. I cannot be successful without my team behind me. My team is everything to me, and I love them deeply. Who do you know in the Chicago area, says Kristen Rodriguez? Quite a few people, actually. Chicago was a place where we used to land and do a lot of racing when we had Battle with Imports back in the day. The track is Joliet, very, very nice track. I ran my fastest times there. My best 60 foots, I think I had a 134 or 131 60 foot out there with a heated launch pad. So yeah, I know quite a few guys there. And I love their pizza, and I'm a huge fan of Garrett's popcorn, which I had a little bit today. All right. God bless you always, says Ink to Skin Tattoos. Thank you. You're too kind. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. By vacuum, was that what you were talking about in the turbo van? By vacuum, that was what you were talking about, the turbo van? SkyCloud, please rephrase that because I kind of don't follow. Jackie on TikTok saying, you still got your wagon van? I do. Not the version 1, the version 2, which is in the showroom, is an all-wheel drive sequential turbocharged K24 Z7 Z3 hybrid. Amazing setup. My original D-Series van, which creates so much madness on some of the social networks and also on forums, was parted out and sold a few years ago. I think someone's trying to resuscitate and rebuild it again. Chicago Pizza do go hard, says Boy Toy Clique. I agree indeed from YouTube. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. Eric has it now. He's a cool guy too. He must be talking about my original CRX. Not the Wago van, but the original CRX I had that broke a lot of records with. Yes, Eric does have it. And he's bringing it back out. Actually, it'll work great for the roads. Get a Comma 3X, your steering column throttle and brake that can drive a wire, control over can. Ooh, I like where you're going with this. You know, John Krashik is a good friend of ours, and he was the CEO of Waymo for quite a while. So I've always been really impressed with level 5 autonomy, level 4 and level 5 autonomy, where cars can really drive themselves. So believe it or not, every car I've built after the K3V does have some equipment in there that allows for partial, if not full autonomy. At a minimum, smart cruise control, where you can be able to follow a vehicle and slow down automatically, and when you accelerate, it continues to go. I definitely am a huge advocate of the CAN-based iBoosters. So the Rolls-Royce has that, my K3V has, not K3V, the Moby has it, the new vehicles that we're building for SEMA already this year has it. It's really a lot of fun stuff, but definitely I will look into that indeed. Thank you so much, Volt, for being a great contributor to our success and to our show here. I'm going to be building a battery bank complete from EV batteries for my off-grid property. Tuna no crust. Please do share as time progresses your success with it. I'd love to see how you did that. It's really good. Thanks for letting us know, says SkyCloud87. For the person he asked, I thank you for asking the question. Amen. My pleasure indeed. What was the weight of your drag inside, if you don't mind me asking? We had to run at 1,790 pounds. So the inside was 1,790. I think the lowest we can get was 1,750 for Battle of Imports, but they were very big on weight. So when I had to add any 40 to 50 pounds, I had a tube assembly on the very front of my one-piece front end, where I can put a low lead plate to allow me for adhesion and to also meet weight. Because you want to put as much weight as possible in the front wheel drive to allow for best traction. And many times we'll see equal, if not better times than being lighter, which is a slight deficiency on the mile per hour, which is pretty cool. Bless you as well, SkyCloud87. Appreciate you do. Hello, A Holder Enterprises. And I'm going to jump back a little bit on what I want to talk about today, guys, which is the CES show at the Las Vegas Convention Center. I think they've already launched dates for 2025. I think it's 150. You have to be within the industry to be able to do that, but it is amazing. Whether you love home appliances, AI, robotics, things automotive, wow, there are sex bots there. Whatever you need, you can think of. It's really crazy at CES, and it's something I enjoy going to. They also have an annex that I just discovered, which is at the Venetian Expo Center. I think it was previously known as the Sands Center, or Sands Exposition Center. By all means, go to both. The Sands had a lot of startups there with some like newer technologies. The main West, Central, South, and North halls had all the big OEMs and big companies there. Even some that we haven't seen quite a while, like Iowa and RCA and Panasonic. I mean, quite a few. Robotics-wise, there were Boston Dynamic guys there as well. It was just great. It was great. So whether you want something very small and cost-effective, like a handheld robot, or something full-on for industrial use, they had everything there. It's really good. And you get to talk to people there. Even in the first couple of days, all the head honchos of the major OEMs, whether it's Honda, Ford, Mitsubishi, Mobis, they were all there. Really cool indeed, you know? What is that in the back? A paddle boat? It says Jackie E. I guess you missed that a little bit a moment ago. That is the bottom half of a vehicle known as a Colani. It was a dual, one person could paddle it, but it's really a two-person mechanically paddle, like a two-man power setup, using a bike, kind of old school bicycle setup, but also in the back had like a two-stroke motor, which we're now removing and we're electrifying with some newer technologies from Super 73. Super 73 is an e-bike company that's really just leading the charge in terms of e-bike technology and aesthetic. And we're able to use some of the technology to put into this. So we have a single motor. We have the option to run two motors in it, but we want to see how a single motor kind of does. And if we need a little bit more power, we'll add a second motor on board, and that shit should be a blast to drive. And it kind of looks weird now, but there's a canopy that goes on top of that we're going to kind of fuse together. But we had to cut it in half to be able to take everything off and to have the team do their fabrication magic, which is pretty good. Not the sex bot, says Toy Toy Clique. Yep. If you look at my content here on YouTube, or even on Instagram, on TikTok, just go back to, like early last week or mid last week, you'll see what I posted. It is creepy. So, and some of the comments I was hearing there weren't very PC. I couldn't record and share with all you guys, but yeah, it was some interesting stuff indeed. Really, really interesting. Philadelphia's in the house, courtesy of Dime Class Upholstery. Thank you so much for joining, indeed. And if you're local, Diamond Class, I think you're in Philadelphia, so you're not local, but if you were, I'd have you look at that, because that car I love right there. It's so beautiful. The cheers is not so good at all. It's just quite horrible, you know? Appearance at the Tokyo Auto Salon next year, says Aero Poach. That'd be nice. Most likely I may do one more stint at the CES show, but you never know. Especially since I did get some loose offers to take some of my 935s to Tokyo Auto Salon. So if that happens, I would definitely be there. If not, it's okay. Matt Ford just gave me number 2 gift badge. Thank you so much, Matt Ford from TikTok. Appreciate your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Surya Garcia says he plans on swapping his EG with something different, a 2020 Accord 2.0 Turbo, which, by the way, is a great setup. Very similar Type R without the Type R prices, 10 speed. Any suggestions on transmission control? So if you do have the opportunity to swap everything over, harness and everything, you could control it with a Hondata. That's what we've done here for some customers as well. If you're going to build a Silcam A6, how would you go about that? Says Bunta 9086. I kind of have that down. The first thing I do is pay a lot of attention to the head. You notice if you put the B16 and D16 next to each other, they're both 1.6 liter engines, but they don't make anywhere near the same power out the box. The reason why is because the D16's head does not flow as well as the B16 head, despite being a similar displacement. Now, of course, rod ratios are different in each one. Because of the rod ratio of the B16 being a lot more numerically higher, there's an opportunity to have more high RPM power without that much side loading of the piston against the side of the cylinders, while the D series is kind of made to be a more torquey econobox. But if you can get the head to flow very nicely, as well as a B16, you can make B16 power with a D16, whether you boost it or natural aspirated, quite easily. So if I were to do an A6 all over again, I would still pay attention significantly to the head, increasing the cross-sectional area, increasing flow. And many of that has to do with going with a much larger intake valve, as much as 4 millimeters bigger on intake, which is great. Hello, ITV Kevin, good friend of mine, and a customer who turned very close friend indeed. Good seeing you, brother. Welcome back, and rather be late than never. And back to the D series. Definitely, I'll go with a much bigger bore. I'll go as far as a 78 millimeter bore. Whenever you, whether factory valves or aftermarket larger valves, whenever you de-shroud the valves by going with a bigger bore and massaging the combustion chamber, you can get a lot more flow in the combustion chamber and create a lot more power. You're just making more flow, getting more oxygen, getting more air intake mixture into the combustion chamber, creating a lot more heat. That's controllable ideally. Do more work on the piston, make more power. So I would do that. Then extensive use of coatings. I would use oil shedding coatings on my rods and also my crankshaft to fling them away. I would go to dry sump system so that my crank doesn't slap into a puddle of oil that takes away energy. I'll go as long rods as I can to be able to allow for less side loading. I'd have the opportunity to even throw in, of course, a Bisimoto level X camshaft. I would go with larger ITBs. Back then, I only had 55 millimeter DCOSP carbs on there. I can go larger nowadays with some components from Kinsler or something quite unique from Redline Weber. Those are all things. And now with, I'd also go alcohol. Alcohol fuels not only allow us to go higher compression and without a chance of detonation, they are a lot more renewable. I love it. Renewable fuel indeed. Smells great and can allow you to make a lot more power. 5 to 8% more power you can do in petrol, which is pretty good. So yeah, those are some of the things I do. But as you can see from my interaction with all of you, my biggest opportunity is with head work. Head has the highest potential power for internal combustion engines. H Series Hoonigan says, cool, I like the Honda talk. Hey, I'm here for everything. I'm surrounded by petrol cars. You can see the twin turbo right there. It's back there. There's another Boxer right there that is also internal combustion. Everything else is EV. I just love anything that's fun and goes fast, whether it makes a supercharger whine or internal combustion engine sound where shoe flames or not. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, you know? Skunk 2, they're offering ITB 60s or 70s. They're 2K though. That's a good price for ITB. Do you know what I spent on my Kinsler? I ran my Kinsler individual ITBs, I think I did 67 millimeters per runner. That's 67 millimeter per runner, which most guys don't even run their whole engines with a single one of them. I ran one in each cylinder and had a stage ejection. It cost me, with my friendship with the Kinsler guys, almost $5,500 back then. You know, so it's good. He's dropping gems, says Idoza. Thanks for the kind words, son. I appreciate that. I have a K24A4, says Jakey. I want a turbo to get 400 horsepower reliably. What should I do? Budget. So K24A4, I got it for you. By the way, that engine has a lot of potential. First of all, you can do that with a stock bottom end. If you want to upgrade something just for longevity and also efficiency and say reliability's sake, at a minimum, upgrade your valve springs, but you can leave everything else because the valve spring on that K24 does a lot of work. A lot. That valve spring has a daunting task of keeping your valve train intact, keeping valve flow at bay, being able to handle any slight overrevs you may have when you misbehave, but now you've added an additional variable of boost. So now it has to work against boost. The only thing that's keeping your boost going and creating pressure is your valves not floating continuously, right? So the valve has to keep things in place to allow you to build some kind of pressure. Then when you open the valve, there's all this pressurized air and fuel that goes in and you can combust and have an effect. So that being said, at a minimum, upgrade that. If you're on a budget, I'm telling you up front now, I have a 58 millimeter turbo billet that is ball bearing. I think we're letting it go for less than $1,000. I think they even have it up for like $500 or $600. So if you don't know, call the shop, hit me up on Instagram, send me an email at sales@bisimoto.com. That alone would save you a ton of trouble. That turbo will be perfect to just bolt onto that. And you can find exhaust manifolds everywhere. I think the guys from PRL have one for the A4, no problem whatsoever. I don't know what you have for an ECU, but a Flash Pro or a Kit Pro can allow you an easy opportunity with base maps to start and tune it. You definitely need 1,000cc injectors. 1,200 would be either easier. And with that, oh, I have so much for you. I have wastegates, really cost effective. You just need to write to us. Sales@bisimoto.com. I have a RG45, 45mm wastegates. I have blow valves, really cheap. I have bell bearing turbos that can bolt right on, that have barely any miles on them. And that's all I have to do with some tuning, and it should be good. Injectors, wastegate, blow valve, turbo, which I have a lot of that here. Gonna save you a lot of money. Anyway, hope that helps, and thank you so much. God, an hour went by so quickly. BBT says, thanks BC for the SimCap answers. My pleasure indeed. What's up, bro? I'm from Texas. As Hard R Productions on YouTube. God, so much love here. However, guys, I do have to go, get back to work. I have a lot of wiring to do. There's a very good friend of ours. He has a beautiful 930. His name is Jeremy. His car is about to start up any second now. I need to finish wiring that thing up and get it going. We're also working on this EP9 Neo that's over there. We're trying to get running as soon as even next week. So we have a lot going on, which is good, you know? So that being said, guys, thank you so much for your audience and for being just great advocates of the Bisimoto team. We have a great year in store for all of you. Forgive me, I know I want to go into detail with a lot more CS talk, but you have some great technical questions, which I appreciate each and every one of you. In the meantime, guys, stay safe. Look forward to seeing you soon. And for those of you in SoCal, please take care of yourselves. Sorry to all of those. My hearts and condolences go to those who lost so much. And you know, we can just look forward to better things and hopefully great things come to pass. Anyway, guys, take care. My pleasure indeed. Have a pleasant one. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Just this one too. Must have been bird.